Hello, everyone. I think we are live. Give us a couple of seconds to confirm that. Refresh my YouTube page. Cool. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this tutorial / workshop about workspaces. My name's Alex. I'm a curriculum manager at Codecademy, and I'm here with Jamie.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, welcome. We're streaming this on a couple of places right now, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. There's a Zoom webinar where you can ask questions. So we want this to be as interactive as possible. So feel free to write in the chat at any of those places. I'm mostly looking at YouTube right now, but I will try to look at the other places as well. And then, as always, these streams will be up on YouTube after the fact. So if you're watching this in the future, welcome. Maybe you can leave a comment on the YouTube video. In this stream, we are really going to kind of highlight one of the new features that we just put out at Codecademy called Workspaces, and talk about really what is the best way to use them and how to use them to get career ready. So cool, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to share my screen. A second. Screen share, let me find the right window. All right, Jamie, how does that look?
Looks good. I can see the Codecademy homepage. Cool.
Okay, so what we're here to talk about is our new Workspace feature, which really we kind of see as an extension of kind of the journey through Codecademy, where so far we've done a lot of, here's a lesson, here's a project, you're learning new topics, but we don't really have anything that can help you build practical experience that might help you reach a job, or really have anything that you can directly show to recruiters or send links to people to show your work. And so that's one of the things that we want to show off with Workspaces. So Workspaces exist here on my homepage. If you scroll down a little bit, you will find a place for your workspaces. I've already made a couple in prepping for this stream, but you can go ahead and see all of them. And workspaces are really a place where you can write whatever code you want. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new one and just kind of show you how this process works. When you create a new workspace, you have a lot of different languages that you can choose from. I'll go ahead and create a new Python workspace. And so here we are. This is it. This is a place where we start you with a Python file. When you hit the save and run button, it's going to run that active file, in this case using Python, because I chose it to be a Python workspace. And you can upload new files or new folders, or rather you can create new files or new folders. And that is what a workspace is. And so I think one thing that's interesting is that this is kind of a blank slate, and people don't really know where to start. And so I think that one of the purposes of this stream is to really kind of give you advice on how you can use this feature in a way to help make you job ready and help you build experience and help you build things that you can show off to the jobs that you're applying for. Jamie, any takes on that to begin with? How might you use something like a workspace to become more job ready, or to build something to show off to your employer?
Yeah, so I feel like one of the ways I have used the workspaces before is like sometimes when I'm working on a Codecademy project that's of interest to me, sometimes I want to like expand on it. Or also if I'm like working on something in like a lesson exercise, I might want to expand on that. So what I'll do is I'll like copy and paste my code from whatever project or lesson exercise I'm working on, and I'll bring that code into a workspace, and then I'll just like expand on it there and make sure I have it saved and within where like the rest of my code is, so I can keep it organized. I think it's like very useful for that. And like, for instance, yesterday I was working on a code challenge, which is like something else we might talk about in this stream. And I just like have it like over in my workspace in Python. So it's just like helpful to keep it there.
Yeah, nice. I think that, yeah, those are two great examples. I'll show off the workspaces that I've created. I created 4 different ones that are all kind of doing something different that might help give you an idea on how to do it. Before I show off the ones that I've created already, I want to kind of just point out some of the features of a workspace that might not be immediately obvious. Again, let me actually run some code here. So I can do, this is Python, so a equals 1 + 1. Print A and run my code. There we go. Like I said, I can create as many files as I want, as many folders as I want. This is kind of creating folders and files is probably something that's for someone who's like creating a pretty big project. Like I could see for a web development project where the file structure is really important, where creating folders and nesting folders within folders and all of that good stuff is really relevant. So that's something to kind of keep an eye out for a bigger web development project. I'll just demo that if I can create a second file.py. Here we go. Here's my other file. So that's basic. That's creating new files and running your code. Something that's also really useful is being able to title these. Again, if we look at my workspaces, you'll see that I had created 4, and now I've just created a 5th called untitled. I'd created 4 before this session. So being able to title your workspaces to kind of jump right back into whatever project you want to show off, or whatever skill you want to remind yourself of. Titling those is really important. So we can do live stream demo. Let's see. The get unstuck feature, I think, is actually fairly cool. One of the things that we put in here is cheat sheets for the specific language that you're working in. So again, I'm working in a Python workspace right now. And so we've linked you to all of our different Python cheat sheets, which you can kind of think of as a very, very abbreviated version of in this case, the Python 3 course. So you can see basically the highlights of that course. Let's see, if I look at a HTML, CSS workspace, take a look at the cheat sheet that exists there. So that's a really useful resource to have. Again, kind of that problem of like, I think a lot of people will see this and be like, this is great that this exists, but I don't even know where to start, or I'm going to start a project, I'm going to get instantly stuck. And so I think these cheat sheets are a great resource to have right at your fingertips to be able to jump back to at any time. So again, this is from the HTML, CSS, JavaScript workspace. We give you access to those cheat sheets. And then finally, another thing that exists in these community forum, in the what do we call this? The Get Unstuck tab are the community forums. So this is just a link to the forum. And we really encourage you, if you're making a workspace and want to get feedback on it, we're going to show you how to make the link to your workspace publicly available. And then you can come in here. And again, if I'm working in a Python workspace, maybe I come into the Python section of the forums, create a post saying, I just created this workspace working on this project or whatever it happens to be. And it's really easy to get feedback on your specific project that you're working on. People can go in there, see the code, play around with the code that that you were working on without messing up your own version of the code, and give you feedback on it. So hopefully we hope that the forums are a really great resource for sharing your code. Jamie, any questions from the YouTube chat that you want me to touch on right now? And Jamie, I lost your audio.
Sorry, I muted.
No worries.
I think someone asked if you can nest files. I think what they mean by that is like, if you can like how deep you can build your folder structure. I was actually going to try and investigate that myself, but
yeah, let's see. I think you can nest. So I just created a folder. And in fact, let me jump back to my live stream demo so I don't mess up that other workspace that I had. I think that you can nest infinitely deeply. So, so these two files, script.py and secondfile.py are at the base level, just in this live stream demo folder. And then I can put another file in there. And then let's see if I can put another folder in there. Yep, so folder 2 is inside folder 1. And so you can definitely make as complex of a file structure as you need.
Yeah, and then we
Cool.
also have someone had a
Yeah.
question about like sharing. So can we share the workspace to someone who doesn't have a Codecademy account, or do they have to have a Codecademy account?
Great question. Let me show off sharing to begin with, and then I can try to tackle some of the details of like accounts. I believe if they have a free account, you should be able to share Workspace, and they'll have access to them. But we can test out what happens if they are not logged into a Codecademy account as well. Sharing in general is super cool. I think, you know, Codecademy has a lot of these places where you can run live code, like if you're working in a lesson or if you're working in a project, right? You can create an awesome project, but the issue is that that's tied specifically to your account. So it's like if you sent that URL to your friend and said, hey, check out this cool project that I just did on Codecademy, that wouldn't work, right? It would send them to the version of the project which is blank for them because they've never worked on it. And so previously, we haven't really had a great way for you to say, look at the code that I wrote, run my code, comment my code, edit my code, play around with my code as much as you want. And so that is now all changed with Workspaces, where, let me jump to one of my cooler demos. In fact, it's this visualization one. Delete that folder that I created. This was so this is technically a website. This is an HTML and JavaScript file. I made this for a machine learning class that I made a while ago. And the code is like kind of hidden behind the scenes, and I don't think any learners have ever really seen it. If you're interested in taking that course, I can drop a link to it later. It's a cool visualization that explains this machine learning thing. But the point being is that it was kind of hard for me to share this code with people. I can now do that really easily by creating this workspace, going up to share. You can make it private or public. So right now it's private. So if I were to share this URL with people, they wouldn't have access to it. I believe it's just 404s, but they don't have access to it. But if I make this public, I can now share this link with anyone. I'm going to drop this link in the YouTube chat, and hopefully that works. And Jamie, you can click on it yourself to see if it works. Let me check my Zoom chat to see if my Zoom people are saying anything. Cool. Cool. And so again, that's kind of the point. There's a link in that Zoom chat right now that can take you exactly to this project. I'll admit that this project is not super reader friendly. Like none of my code is commented, and you know, I'm sure I could clean up this code a lot before actually sharing it with people. And so, but you know, you can have access to it. I see Ryan in the chat says I need to sign in. I suppose that you need a free account to access these. And if anyone else at Codecademy is watching that can confirm that a free account will be all that you need to access that, that would be great. Cool. So that's kind of one use case that we see for these workspaces, is that it's really easy to share code that's like viewable by someone else or runnable by someone else. They can instantly start playing around with it. And so you can kind of imagine having a bunch of these different links that you could either put on your personal website, and that gives people really easy access to like looking at your real code and running it, or you know, just sharing this link with, if you're in an interview and you're trying to land a job, sharing this link. It's a really easy way to explain the projects that you've been working on without like showing them your GitHub account and them having to read the code or fork the code or you know, download the code themselves. So it's a nice way to like really quickly show off the project that you've been working on and explain your code, which is a really important step when you're trying to land jobs. That's one use case for workspaces. The other ones that I think are really interesting are kind of creating your own cheat sheet. So the example I built for this was I titled list indexing notes. I even do this myself when creating content for Codecademy, where I'll just have to remind myself how certain syntax works. So, I'm creating content. I forget the exact mechanics of, if I print out the first through third element of this list, is that going to include the third element or not? And I know I could do that on my own computer locally. I could open the terminal, start write a Python file, run the code, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to be doing all of that. And I've actually found myself that I've been using this for let me just get a workspace up and running super quickly that I can kind of test this out on. So this is the example that I built. If you're going through your courses on Codecademy or somewhere else, and you just want to basically write notes for yourself, again, you could have done that in lessons, but it's hard to remember oh yeah, in the lesson on that first exercise, I didn't do what the exercise said and I played around with list indexing. Kind of hard to remember that. And so with workspaces, you can really just create these note documents of let me just have this document be around forever that is reminding me how list indexing works. So I think that that's a really cool use case of workspaces. Jamie, any thoughts on that one? I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute.
No, I agree. That is also definitely something I do during exercises. I'll try to see if there's different ways where you can pass a specific checkpoint. And I think being able to organize those different ways is a pretty fun idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love the idea of you could do this with so many different topics of I'm going through my JavaScript course and I'm learning this new topic and I've gone through the lesson and I understand it, but let me put it into my own words. Let me highlight the things that I think are important or the things that are tricky for me. Let me throw all of that stuff into a workspace. And now that will just live on my home Codecademy profile forever that I can look at whenever I need to refresh myself on it. Another use case for this is kind of what Jamie has said before, where what we've been looking at so far is creating your own project or creating your own notes off of a lesson. But I think workspaces are also a great place to expand existing Codecademy projects. So if you're working on a Codecademy project, you're in that project format, you have the instructions on the left-hand side, you've kind of done everything that they've asked them to do, but you want to spin that off and make it your own thing. Again, a good way to put something in your portfolio that is your own thing that you kind of were creative with and came up with on your own. Workspaces are a great way to do that. Copy that code over from the project, put it in a workspace, and then start playing around with it, start sharing it with people, and you can really kind of develop that into your own project that you can show off for interviews. This is an example of this is a Connect 4 project that's at the back end of, again, a machine learning class where two AI play Connect 4 against each other. So I got to the project gets you to this point, but now there's so many different directions that you can take this. You can turn this into your own project, and again, it's kind of this setup place where it's super easily shareable. So once this really becomes its own unique thing, be a great thing to share for job opportunities. And then finally, sorry, I'm looking at chat here to see if there's anything worth saying. Finally, another use case for workspaces is practicing for technical interviews. And we actually have another feature that will help out with this that I'm going to very briefly demo in a second. But that was my fourth example here, the knapsack problem. This is a pretty common interview question. And so this is a kind of using workspaces to model that technical interview of someone giving you a technical question and then a blank file to write the solution in and tells you to go. This is a good way to model just like testing yourself on that. Create a new workspace, find a problem, find a technical interview problem, and use the workspace to try to solve that problem. So this is our attempt at solving the knapsack problem, which is a big, crazy technical interview problem. You might be thinking, how do I even find those problems? That is what this other new feature is that literally hours ago was released. If you look in the resources tab, you will find challenges, which is a big list of technical interview problems. So that's kind of if you're watching this stream, you may be literally some of the first people on Codecademy playing around with this new beta product that we put out. But again, Workspaces is a great place to really kind of emulate that technical interview experience of like, here's the problem, here's a blank file, try to write some code that solves the problem. Cool. Jamie, any questions you think would be useful to talk about?
Well, people have been giving a lot of love to the projects you've shown. I think they're really cool, and I agree. I think I've been addressing most questions in the chat. I guess someone asked if this is a pro feature. So did we figure out if you can access like the Workspaces, whether you are a free subscriber or a pro subscriber?
I believe that you can do it as a free subscriber, but I can check in on that and post the answer like in the comments of this YouTube video or something. Let's see. Jamie, you created a data science one, which we wanted to show off.
Yeah, I can try pulling that up. I can send you the link. Let's see.
I got it.
Oh, perfect.
So again, this is an example of kind of the shareability of Workspaces, where you can see at the top here, this is a workspace from Jamie that he has made publicly available. He shared the link with me. And so I can now open this up. This is more of a data science project. So you can see that I'm looking at a CSV file here. So even though this is a Python workspace, you can add whatever files that you want to this, this file system. So we've added a CSV file, and then this Python file is opening up the CSV file, doing some data science stuff on it. Jamie, do you know the details of what's going on in this one?
So this is actually written by Sophie, who some of you may, you probably would recognize her if you watch live streams a lot. So this is it's like part 2 hypothesis testing project. So I think what's going on here is there's some data on, like there's some heart disease data, and basically I think they're doing some like hypothesis testing to see like if you're likely to have like whatever specific heart disease, given like some data about like a given individual. Yeah.
Very well commented, much better than my code. Yeah. Good job, Sophie.
This is actually a project you can find in the data science career path, and also I think on the master stats skill path, which are both very great paths. I recommend anyone to take them. Yeah. And also a really awesome project, as are all the projects she creates.
Jamie, I imagine that kind of a common question might be like, how do I even think of projects to work on? Like, again, you can use Codecademy projects using Workspaces, where we'll give you instruction, we can like lead you on, but do you have advice on like, I want to make my own project. I've opened up this workspace. I know that it's a empty canvas. I can make a million cool things, but I just like don't know where to start. How would you tackle that kind of that question?
So I think it would kind of depend on where you are in your coding journey. So like I feel like the first thing I did, like I don't know, like I think like 5 or 6 or so years ago, or like I don't even know the number of years at this point. Like when I first logged into Codecademy, I just kind of started off by like taking like a bunch of courses and trying to see like what is actually interesting to me. So for instance, I think I took like the Learn Python 3 course back in the day. And then I think I also looked at SQL. I think I also looked I like, just like a bunch of different, like I start off with just like some programming languages. And I think the way I'd use this workspace if I was starting off that way is like, let's say I get to like learn Python 3 project, I might like do it and then drag over that code to a workspace like this, and then just like try seeing where I can take it from there, like kind of like branch off like this existing project that I was kind of guided through, and then go from there to see like where else I can take it. And then let's say if you get more advanced and you start like working with like data sets and data science, I might just try to say like, okay, I've worked with this in like I worked with this data set on like this project, like let's say for like hypothesis testing or like building a model, I might just try like building another model with the data set and try taking it somewhere else with like less guidance, or doing some like more hypothesis testing with it, or like try finding my own data set and mimicking what I did in the existing Codecademy project. So, stuff like that. Or if you're like doing some like web development course, maybe building out like your own web page in the project is also always like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I think I think all of that's great advice. A thing that I also do is trying to recreate something that I see that is really cool. So a great example is this is the Connect 4 Python project that Codecademy will lead you through. This is kind of your final product. I saw, I think it was posted in the forums, a learner took this and translated it into JavaScript and HTML. I think a very valid complaint about this project is that it looks kind of bad, right? It's like text-based, it's like ASCII code. And so somebody took this, they knew a little bit of web development. So they said, okay, let me take these AI skills that I learned in this Python course and try to translate them into a website. And their final product is a website that does basically exactly this, but it looks a lot better. So I think that that's a really good piece of advice too, is find something that you think is really cool and just try to recreate it yourself. See how far that you can get. I think the K nearest neighbor one, the dots and the colors, the one that I was showing earlier, I think that's another really good example. If you're that far in your coding journey that you can kind of follow along, you'll probably be to the point where you can imagine the starting steps of that project. And once you get started, then you kind of know a direction to go. So I would say that that's a good thing too, is like try to emulate things that you find really cool. And then as you're doing that, it's going to become your own thing eventually. Let's see. Questions in the chat. I see Carlos says, from people that are already in the industry, what would be the best skill to get into an entry-level job? That depends on what the entry-level job is, but I always just say, really the skill that you need is being able to learn how to learn, right? Where I think it's whether you take Python or whether you take the full stack path or any of these, really the thing that you want to learn is kind of what I was just describing, of like being able to come up with a project, not know the exact direction or not know exactly how to do that, but know how to start the project and how to start and knowing how to solve your own problems, really, which is a tough skill to learn. And so I think for me, there's no one right direction. It's really like whatever you are most interested in. But I would say for me, the thing that is helpful is not the specific technology that you're learning, but rather learning how to learn, and noting that when you're learning Python lists, whatever, that skill is going to translate to Java, to JavaScript, to all of these other things. And so, yeah, learning how to learn is more important than the coding language itself. I saw a question about robotics. Kind of the same thing. Let me find that exact question. Can I make code for my robot? Then I build it and put that code in the USB and put the USB in our robot. Again, kind of the same thing, where on Codecademy, we don't teach you the specific mechanics of like this is the language that you need to know in order to code for a robot, or this is how you put your code in the robot, whether it's via USB or something else. But the thing that we will teach you, again, are those like fundamentals. You'll learn how to start doing this thing, not in robotics, but once you've learned that, the important thing is now you've learned the ability to now translate those skills into the specific robotics program that you want to build.
Someone also asked how I got the CSV file into the workspace. So basically, you can't actually upload the CSV file, but basically what you can do is if you have your CSV file, just like Command A, I know that's how you do it on a Mac, unfortunately don't know how you do it on Windows, and then just like copy the contents and create a new CSV file into the workspace, which seems like a bit of a pain, but it's actually just like,
yeah, big copy and paste is the answer.
Yeah, copy and paste.
But yeah. Good question, John. Can I use my code I create after my pro is over? And Richie answered, not at the moment, but they're working on that. So good question. Cool. Anything else you think we should say, Jamie?
Yeah, I don't think so. I hope people have a fun time using the workspaces.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. If you're a pro member and have access to these workspaces and can make them public, I would love to see the comments of this YouTube video just be a bunch of links to these shared workspaces. I will actually do this right when the YouTube video gets posted. I will post a link to I'll post a link to all 4 of my workspaces that I showed here, so people can play around with them. But I would love to see that because that's really what we're hoping for, is that these workspaces are a great way for people to share their code and to look at each other's code. So if you made it this far, consider giving it a shot. Cool. I think that is it from us. We should have another one of these sessions in a couple of weeks showing off that code challenge feature that I very briefly showed. So if you like this, keep an eye on our YouTube channel, and yeah, we'll see you later. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks for leading this, Alex.